Good afternoon, everybody. It's me, the media guy. And I know I wasn't planning on doing any VeggieTales related reviews, which I know that's what you guys are gonna point out in the comments below. But this was sort of a last minute decision. So yeah, before we start, in case you're wondering why I sort of sound a little bit out of breath, but not really, it's because I went out on a walk earlier today. So, in case you haven't noticed from the title and thumbnail, I'll be sharing my thoughts on a VeggieTales special called Esther, the girl who became queen. And first of all, try saying that 5 times fast. And two, if any of you are like big VeggieTales fans, especially Brian Hall, for example, you might have heard about this, but just in case you want to know, the king needs a new queen, and Esther has been chosen. But she's about to find out that being queen is going to take more courage than she ever imagined. The award-winning artists at Big Idea bring to life one of the Bible's greatest stories and the most spectacular VeggieTales adventure ever. When a small-town girl wakes up to the weight of the world on her shoulders and faith of her people in her hands, can she find the courage to do what's right? Filled with drama, humor, and great music that families everywhere may have come to expect from Big Idea, Esther, the girl who became queen, teaches kids that you never need to be afraid to do what's right. So despite the fact that it has a runtime of 36 minutes, this is a nice little VeggieTales video. It does have some decent animation, especially for 2000 standards. Does have a great story with a beginning, middle, and end, with a little bit of VeggieTales touch to it. And I actually do like the new character, Esther. And yes, I like just like what the description on the back of the VHS tape says, this is actually based on a Bible story of the same name. Which I'm guessing this is sort of like a retelling of the classic story, but with some of our favorite VeggieTales characters in it, or at least some of them. And you can tell that the makers behind this really did their best to bring this story to life in a very funny way, but very creative. And it does teach kids the lesson of courage and doing what's right, no matter what the result is. Which, to be fair, I can totally understand how and why. Because VeggieTales always has great lessons from the Bible, whether it's about sharing, telling the truth, not being afraid, forgiveness, you name it. And I do like how this time Mr. Nezet isn't playing a villain this time. Even though he's really a nice guy. He does play the king in this one, who gets saved by Esther and her cousin Mordecai, who is a palace guard, or at least one of them. But let's just say that Haman has something sinister up his sleeve, since he really doesn't like Mordecai that much and has a sneaky plan to have him and his family banished. So it's up to Esther here to get enough courage to save her family and confront Mordecai once and for all. This is still a nice little special for everyone to enjoy. And again, you guys, even though I assume that you guys are still not big VeggieTales fans, which I can totally respect, but this is a nice little VeggieTales special. Now this is actually the second VeggieTales special to not have a opening and closing countertops scenes. The first being Larry Boy and the Rumor Read. And this is also the third VeggieTales special to not have a Silly Songs with Larry segment. The first being Larry Boy and the Fib from Outer Space, and the second being the aforementioned Larry Boy and the Rumor Weed. Now I think I did read up about what went on behind the scenes. And I think that was originally going to be like an opening and closing countertop scene. But I'm guessing that was like some kind of budget issues or something. And I guess the filmmakers didn't have enough time to create one. And I'm guessing that Lost Puppies song was originally going to be like a Silly Songs with Larry type segment. Those are my wild, but I'm guessing that thing that became his own separate thing. Those are my wild guesses. But anyways, aside from that, VeggieTales Esther, the girl who became queen, is still a nice little story from the Bible, and does have a good lesson about encouragement. And again, this I know I wasn't planning on talking about anything related to VeggieTales, but this was sort of a last minute option. So I'm glad you guys were able to check out this little review of Esther, the girl who became queen. So I'll give this movie 5 stars out of 5. And I'm sorry if this review is very short and not long compared to the other ones. But hey, I did my best to describe this special as best as I can. And remember, God made you special and He loves you very much. Goodbye!